Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Real Collective Podcast, the podcast where we talk about Ottawa real estate and all things real estate in Ottawa. I am Brendan McKeigan. With me as always, is Sean Tassé. That's the first time I've used that intro, and the last. Sean, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, pal. We're having a lot of fun. I feel like I've got a lot of time to spend with you over the last little bit, so I've enjoyed it.
Oh, that's sweet of you to say. We do have a great episode lined up for you guys today, pertinent to what's going on in the Ottawa real estate market now. So we're hoping this helps you guys going forward. If you like what you've seen so far on our previous episodes, or even this one in the last 30 seconds, give us a like, subscribe, or a share here on YouTube. Download us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can find us there too. And if you want to talk to us about your own real estate needs in Ottawa, click on the link below and book an appointment with us in the Calendly link. Is it Calendarly?
Calendly. There's no
Calendly. See, it's just, anyway, click the link, guys. That's going to be better information, more one-on-one. So if you're just looking to get started, you have questions, we're happy to answer them. That being said, today we are going to talk about something that almost everyone is facing in the Ottawa area, and that is how to win in multiple offers. That's right. I feel like there should be an echo effect on that.
There was.
You know why? Because multiple offers. See why there was an echo? It works pretty well, I think. So we've got quite a few things to cover. It's not a top 5 today because there's more than one way to go about this. Yes, obviously, at the end of the day, we know that homes are going for over asking price. Our job is to get you the home you want without paying more than you have to. So let's get started. Sean, what's our first topic here?
So how to win in a bidding war. It's going to sound pretty on the head, a little bit redundant, but pay more. Surprise.
Golf clap.
Thank you. So here's the thing, though, is nobody wants to overpay. And so paying more doesn't necessarily have to mean overpaying. And the way to sort of thread that needle is to ensure that your agent who's representing you as a buyer is having a really high level and great conversation with the listing agent and is asking really powerful questions. And asking those powerful questions will hopefully allow the listing agent to answer the question without divulging, of course, anything that's in the other offer, but set you up for a winning bid. We've seen, we always talk about the DTS, which is the distance to second between the winning bid and the second place bid. You never want to have a big DTS as the winner. And so asking the right questions and just going for, one more comeback with the listing agent will help you pay more without necessarily overpaying. Of course, there's 2 things that you're paying for. One is the property or the home that you're bidding on, and the other is the deposit, which is the what they call the earnest money, or the amount that you're submitting with the offer for the house. So how much money am I giving you right now? And if 2 offers are really close in terms of pricing, and one has a deposit that's a lot higher, that might look like a stronger offer to a seller. So that's obviously the first way that you might be able to win a bidding war is to pay more.
Yeah, and that sounds pretty obvious, to just pay more money. And like Sean said, if you're very close, like if the top 2 offers are essentially the same, maybe the deposit isn't the deciding factor. Maybe the sellers are more emotional, which brings us into our second one, adding a love letter. Maybe that's something that you want to put in there, a letter about your family, a letter about the house, anything that that you love about the house, that you look forward to being there, talk about your family and what you plan on, the next stage of your life, essentially. We can go over this with you and kind of help you write a love letter. They're not necessarily going to work if you're 20,000 less than the other offer, or 10,000 less, or anything like that. But when it's like neck and neck, sometimes that extra little emotional boost can help. So like overall, it might help, but it's definitely not like the be all end all. Not in this market, because it's this market. You go back to that first one, pay more. If someone's going to pay significantly more, but you're like, but please, we have kids. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like pay more is the trump card, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's why it's first.
Yeah, the trick with the love letter is a basic psychological trick where you are trying to find common ground, right? So if the home seller has cats and you have cats, write a love letter and put a picture of you with your cats in it to say, hey, you're cat people, we're cat people, we're the same, right? People like them. People want to associate with people like them. If they've got young kids and you've got young kids, put a picture of your kids in. If you noticed in the recycle bin that they've got a box of pizza from Gabriel's Pizza, mention, hey, Gabriel's is my favorite pizza restaurant too, right? Find some common ground. So the love letter is really simple. You say great things about the house. You say what a great job they've done taking care of it. You try and find some common ground, and then you tell them how wonderful you are and why they should pick you in your offer. It's a, like Brendan said, we can help you write it. It's a really easy strategy. There's a bunch of stuff you can find online about it. It's not going to make the difference unless you're very close.
Yeah. And that's kind of leads into the other thing. A lot of people, they want to be very cautious, which obviously it's the biggest purchase of your life. A lot of people are not comfortable making offers without conditions. So there's a few ways to go about doing that, and it comes with the word pre. So we have two more. We have pre-inspection and pre-approval. Pre-approval, we all know, you go to the bank, you talk to a mortgage broker, you get pre-approved on a mortgage, so you know what your purchasing power is, and that makes you able to make an offer without your condition of financing in it. Pre-inspection, Sean, what if somebody wants an inspection on a house, but they don't want to include it on their offer on offer day?
Yeah, so of course, then they'll get a pre-inspection. I just want to double tap on the pre-approval part. If you're working with a really great broker and you're only putting, for example, 5% down, they can run your pre-approval, not just for you, but if you have enough lead time, they can run the pre-approval for the home as well, making sure that you can either get CMHC or Genworth or whoever the underwriter is to approve the purchase of the home as well, so that you can go in and say, yeah, sure, I can afford, $650,000, but also that the bank will approve that this house, that we can lend $650,000, not just to you, but also to the house. So in terms of pre-approval, yeah, you want to have your pre-approval even before you go out shopping. But when you're submitting your offer on your home, you want to bring your lender back in at that point and make sure that the house is also sort of pre-approved. The pre-inspection is another thing. So in a regular real estate market, you buy a house, you buy it with conditions. The conditions are normally home inspection and mortgage financing. What we're doing is we're fulfilling these conditions in advance of submitting the offer. So getting this approval on the home and getting your home inspected before you submit your offer gives you the ability to submit an offer without a home inspection condition in it. If you want, you can go back and look at the podcast we did with Peter, where he goes through and explains the process of doing a pre-offer home inspection. And I'd say that's a good thing to do to ensure that you're protected.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it does come into, everything's going to tie into pay more. But it's one of those things that, like, if you're starting to look for a house, maybe you put aside $1,500 to $2,000 for a few inspections, because you might have to. If you're going to get an inspection on a house, I would hope that you would be prepared to listen to what your realtor thinks the home might sell for. And be willing to go to that price because it's something that you really want. If you're like, well, let's just see what happens, maybe don't get the pre-inspection on that place, because if you're going to see what happens, what you're going to see is that you won't get the house. I don't like to beat around the bush necessarily, but that's just what's going to happen. If you're not willing to go big on it, don't get the pre-inspection, because you're just going to be wasting your money. But if it's a home that you're like, yes, I want this, but I want to make sure, then get your pre-inspection done. Kind of ties into the next one, which would be speed, acting quickly. So sometimes they come on the market and maybe they're not holding offers. Maybe somebody just wants they just want to get it on, listed, done. They have families, young kids. They don't want to list. They don't want to have a bunch of people through the house. And with this market, you can sometimes drum up multiple offers in that single day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes as a buyer, you can avoid multiple offers with speed, right? And speed doesn't just mean going to see the home right away. It means going to see the home right away, offering on it right away, and making sure that one of the pieces of your offer, which is called the irrevocable time, so how long your offer is valid for, is as short as possible. Regardless of what the other agent is asking for, you need, as the buyer, you need to do what's in your best interest. And adding speed to the process when you're a buyer in a seller's market works in your benefit. What the seller is trying to do is delay everything as much as possible, get more people who are interested in it, because more people means more offers typically means more money. But if you can think of a number that, hey, this is a great deal for the seller, and let's say it's listed for, I don't know, $5.99, and you come in and you offer them $7.06, and they think to themselves, oh my goodness, we didn't ever think that we would hit the 7 number, and these guys have already given us $7.06. But you give them a really short window of time to be able to address that, then you might put yourself in a situation where the market just moves crazy and it would have sold for $7.36, but you've just bought it for $7.06, and the speed is what's helping you win in a multiple offer situation. Even though 706 might really hurt to you, it might end up being less than it ultimately could have sold for with more exposure.
Yeah, and that ties into things that we've talked about before about, I've talked about acting as a SWAT team mentality, where it's, you're looking at homes, and then it's go, 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 go. That's what the speed is here is, hey, this home's not holding offers. We got to go see it. We got to make the offer right now, sign it, get it back to them, and, make it worth their while. And sometimes it works. I had it work a couple of weeks ago, and everybody ended up happy. Maybe not as much the listing agent, but the sellers were happy enough. And sometimes that's the way it goes. You just got to act quickly. So just be prepared as a buyer to be able to hop on things quickly, know what you want ahead of time, and just go for it. And part of that is, I guess part of speed is preemptive offers. So Sean, why don't you just explain what preemptive offers are as opposed to just making an offer?
Yeah, so a lot of times a seller will be asking for offers to be either presented on a certain day, and they're saying they're open to preemptive offers, or they're saying we are not accepting any offers until such and such a date, which means no, and that's called no conveyance of offers. In either case, you're free as the buyer to do what you please. You can submit a preemptive offer even if they have a clause that says no conveyance, because again, as the buyer, you're doing what's in your best interest, and you're not necessarily having to follow the rules that the seller has set. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding generally as far as the public is concerned, and navigating through some of these different pieces is tough, and having a seasoned agent help you and guide you through the process has the potential of saving you a ton of money when you're buying, and netting more money when you're selling. But ultimately what happens is, if they're saying, hey, we're not accepting offers until such and such a date, you submit an offer that says, hey, I know you're not accepting offers until such and such a date, but here's this. And it's similar to the piece that I said a moment ago about offering 706 when it's listed for 599, and if you wait too long, you add more people into the mix who might be interested in it, and maybe there's somebody who's going to pay $736 for it, but they don't get a chance to see it because you've submitted your preemptive offer. So that really fits in with the idea of speed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think if you combine that with everything else that we're talking about here, then it really lays out the groundwork for you to at least set you up for success. Some sellers have it in their head that no matter what, they want X amount of dollars. And that could be preemptive, that could be at the end of the day. So they might hold off, and there's nothing you can necessarily do.
Well, here's the thing. Even if they do have a number in their head of, well, geez, we're listed for $599. I don't want to sell unless I get $750. Again, if you as the buyer think that that's good value and you're happy to go and buy it, then go and give that offer of $750. And you maybe it would have sold for 780, right? If you can make an argument that it's worth more than the seller is willing to accept on the buyer side, and you can go and buy it for that, then good, then that's a win, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing, Brendan, that you are exceptionally good at is figuring out what a house is going to sell for before it actually sells.
Stop it.
It's true, to the point where you called me the other day and you told you were over by $500 what the house actually sold, which means that if you would have submitted an offer for the home, your clients would have won.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you do it? How does it work? What's your math about
Oh, I don't want to give away all my secrets. All I'm going to say is click on that link below and book an appointment with me, and I'll tell you how we can go about that with you. What I will say though, it's exactly what I'm going to tell you when you book an appointment, which is I just do my job. I look at the market. I look at the types of homes that are exactly like it that have sold. If there's not ones like that, I look outside of that. If there's not any that are recent, I look further back, and then I do math as far as what homes have appreciated at since then. And then sometimes it's as simple as predicting the sale price and then adding 10%. And that, for example, I'm just going to make up numbers, but I have a client who was looking at homes and hard cap was 650, no matter what, 650. Great. So we ended up seeing a place and put in a preemptive offer for 650 and got it accepted. And she was a little hesitant about going to that price point. And I said, I guarantee you that this home is going to be worth it. We're already seeing it jump up right now. And this was in January. And now in that price point, in all of that neighborhood, all of that suburb, you cannot find anything for 650. So it's already appreciated to that level, and it's going up some more. So at the time when you're making an offer, you might feel like, oh, this is way too much, but you have to pay what it's going to be worth a year from now, if that makes sense. So if you're planning on being there for a couple of years, yes, you got to pay a little bit more, but by the time you move in, you're going to even make up for a lot of that. So it's predicting the sales price and then adding a little bit to it.
Some clients have said, oh, well, I don't want to pay that much money for a house. I want a deal, right? A lot of people are stuck on, oh, I want a deal. Well, the deal is you buy a house, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is right now. It's a seller's market. There's less than a month of inventory on the market. I looked at the numbers. There's like 960 listings, and we sold 1,400, like almost 1,500 houses in February. So that's the deal. The deal is you get a chance to buy a house, and the deal won't be realized until you add time. And I mean, like Brendan's saying, even if you add a month or two onto, the purchase today, a month or two, you move in, hey, look at that. It's worth it. And maybe it's worth more. And in 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's going to be worth significantly more. And if it's not, then it's the same thing affecting everybody. It wouldn't be like if the market changes, it doesn't just affect one person, it affects everybody, right? So we are in an upward trending market. I don't think it's going to change for the next 18 months. So you're better to buy now than to wait. And the last bit here before we break is that the next time a house sells, it's going to use your sale as a comparable. So everybody knows, hey, look, if you sold for 650 and that house looked like that, you've got to pay more. And sometimes the house doesn't even look as nice, and it ends up selling for more. And then that just continues to drive the price higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. And, you see it time and time again, and people can't quite understand, like, well, why would I pay more for it when it's not as nice as the other one? Because it's what's left. It's what's there. And time. Yeah, exactly. And it's what we talked about. It's like, that's just the way it goes. You add more to that next sale. It just seems to be the trend. There's obviously like outliers that, it's, run down, decrepit sort of thing, but
there's this meme going around where a realtor is showing a couple a house, and they say, oh, you know what, we like it, but we'd like to pay a little bit more. And the realtor says, great, I'll show you the same house tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Meme explanations of life.
Meme explanations. If there's one thing better than memes, it's vocalizing them on a podcast. That's that's great. All right. So hopefully this stuff helps you out. If you want to know what Sean was saying, just play us back again in the 5-time speed, half speed, and you'll be able to soak all of that info in. I'm just as guilty. So play us at 0.75 speed, and it'll be great. So anyways, we're going to take a quick break. Book an appointment with us below. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and as well on Spotify. Like, subscribe, and share. Put us in the background. Have a good time, and we'll see you right after this break.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to serve a wide array of clients, including first-time homebuyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allow us to put our clients at the center of everything that we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you're interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Collective podcast. We're talking about multiple offers and how to win in those multiple offer scenarios. In the first half, we talked to you about things that you can do to help you win in multiple offers, things that your realtor can do for you to help you win in multiple offers. And we figured now would be a good time to sort of go over actual scenarios of multiple offer scenarios that we've each been in that have helped us out and helped our clients out. So, Sean, why don't you get started there? What's been like a big win for you recently with multiple offers?
Yeah, well, I think the easiest way to win in multiple offers is to be the seller. So it's always the seller who wins in that scenario. Oftentimes the buyer feels like even if they win, they feel like they've lost, right? Because they were the sucker who paid the most. So having a really good communication between both agents and I think helps a lot. One thing that we used to do in the old days, pre-COVID, was to present offers in person at the listing agent's office. And there were at least 2 times that come to mind where I went with the buyer client to 3 times actually, where I went with the buyer client to the listing agent's office and presented our offer in person to the listing agent. Now, of course, with things the way they are, we're not doing that so much anymore. However, we have developed a way to use Zoom to present offers to our clients. And so what we'll do is we'll set up the main room to be the seller and the listing agent, as well as the sort of the breakout rooms to host the buyer's agent and the buyer's client, so they can sort of be there and talk things through. And then if we need to make some quick changes, then we know we've got someone on the line. And that's the idea about presenting in person is, you can go back to the buyer and to the buyer's agent who's there and say, hey, make these changes, sign this piece of paper, you've got 15 minutes. And so you can, we talked a little bit about time and speed before. You're in a really strong position on the buyer side in multiple offers when you're physically there. We had one when we were up against 12 offers with one of my best pals, actually. And we actually won the house for a few reasons. First of all, we were not the most expensive offer, but there was a relationship between the seller and between the buyer. And it was, a love letter really helped. I think we ended up buying this place for like $425, and there were offers up to something like $450. So, there was 12 offers and we won. And it was such a significant difference that the listing agent was like, yeesh, I'm gonna have a hard time going back to these people who lost and tell them what it sold for. Thankfully, that relationship really helped our guys win, even though they weren't the highest offer. So that's one scenario I can think of. Another one, we were given a counter offer or given an opportunity to improve. And again, it was in that low 4s sort of price point. we pushed our way all the way up to getting to 4, and then we got one last chance, and they said, hey, you know, if you can go to whatever the price was. I think we wound up at something like 411. You can tell that these were long ago because these prices almost don't exist anymore. But it was such a stretch to get to 411, right? Like we were like, okay, 4 is our max, and then we got to 410, and they were like, well, you know, if you go to 415, then you can definitely have it. I'm like, we can't. Right? We said if someone wants to get there, that's fine. But we did squeeze out from, I think it was like maybe from 405 to 411, or from 410 to 411 or something. And that was it. And again, it's because we were there and we were able to have that conversation. And we also had the letter submitted at the same time, all that sort of thing. And there was another one, I remember it was late at night. And I just remember being in the office and going in and presenting and sitting at this really big boardroom table, and just saying all of the reasons why this, you know, and again, you're playing on heartstrings a little bit, but this widow from you know, a man who had lost his life and was serving our country and et cetera. That was all in the love letter, right? And so just really playing on the heartstrings, and it worked. You know, I also think that she was probably, if not close to the highest offer, already the highest offer, but all of it worked in together, right? And yeah, there's a humanization factor to it when you're able to present in person, and I think that we've been missing that for the last little while. But offering that opportunity on Zoom to, you know, both our seller and to our buyer clients. Is a way that we can sort of move forward and put ourselves and represent our clients and put ourselves in a better scenario. So.
Yeah, and to anyone who's like, well, we're not going to offices right now and we're not doing that in person, and maybe you can't get a Zoom meeting, there's other ways around it. Maybe you do a quick 1-minute video. Everyone's got a cell phone, set it up, take a video. We will put it up on a private YouTube link for them to see. And it's a great way to just sort of introduce yourself to the sellers, put a face to the name, and just say, hey, like, you know, we'd love to meet you guys, or, you know, we know that you're busy with this, but here, blah, 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 love letter stuff here. You know, say something nice about yourself, make yourself a commercial, essentially. It's your own 30-second to 1-minute commercial, nothing too long, but just that introduces yourself. And like, you know, we hope this works out. We'd love to be the ones that live in your house. You know, we want to be the ones that live there next. I think that's going to be more of a growing trend that we're going to see going forward, especially with COVID. Other multiple offer scenarios. I mean, obviously the best way is avoiding them, or preemptive offers. I just talked about some success there with preemptive offers, but winning in multiple offers, I think it just comes down to what you're willing to pay for the house. And we've talked about this before. And if somebody pays $100 more than you, you're like, that's fine. We weren't willing to. So it's finding out if someone's ready and willing, and they've maybe done the pre-inspection, they're ready to go. Had a couple that they were expecting their second child. So the love letter definitely helps there because they were actually pregnant. And that's something that, you know, maybe pulls on the heartstrings a little bit more. So that worked out really well for them. And it being a country home, they had a lot in common with the people that were living there. And it was pretty close, but we did end up getting it because they were willing to listen to what I had to say about what the home's going to sell for and what it was listed at. And I think that ended up being 13 offers for that one. I think the most that I had in the last 5 or 6 months was in the 20s. It was 20 something offers, and we came out on top. And again, it's just, you know, you're not trying to make, well, I think this is a fair offer. You're trying to make a winning offer. And if it's not in that price point, it's not going to be. And when you see what's going to happen, all you're doing is increasing the price for whoever does get it eventually. So
I'd say the other thing is, especially in the last little bit, I've been more on the listing side than on the buyer side. The one line that I really enjoyed hearing from a buyer's agent was, you know, we'd like to be the people to give you what you need to get this done today. And what that says is there's some willingness and some flexibility, And I think keeping, if you're the buyer's agent, keeping the lines of communication open with the listing agent, never saying never, right? Like saying like, oh, hey, you know what, this is our max budget. Because a lot of times the people who end up winning go above what their max budget is, right? And if you're the buyer, keep your mind open to, hey, well, our max budget is 410, but geez, can we find a way to make 411 work? Sure, we can, right? Even if 400 is your max budget, can you find that somewhere if this is the house? That's the caveat about all this, right? If it's not the right house for you, that's fine. Like Brendan said, just walk away, right? If you want to take a try at it, that's fine. But if that's the house, and we've done, we've predicted the sale price, we've added the 10%, it makes sense. You're comfortable going to that number, and you just have to squeeze a little bit more. That might be what it is. But keeping that line of communication open with the listing agent, and being willing to say, oh, okay, fine, I'll do it. That might feel like you're spending a little bit more, but you might actually be saving, because if you don't buy this house, like we said before, the next one you're going to see, you're going to have to go and spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more.
Yeah. And that leading into, without getting into like all the stories of every multiple offer scenario, what I can say is that everybody that I've helped in the last, I would say, year at least, I'm just trying to think roughly in my head, who has won in multiple offers, has made money on their house. It has gone up in value from what they thought they overpaid for it. So I know there's a lot of hesitations when people see list price, and then like a lot of people get hung up on, oh, I can't believe it's sold for this. But when you factor in, it's not about what a house is listed for, it's what it's worth. And what it's worth is dictated by what people are paying for other homes around there. And when we give you those comparables and we give you those final numbers and they end up being pretty darn close, then I'm hoping it sets you up for success. And there's times too where that changes on the fly, like when you're actually in the offer process and you say, hey, listen, I thought we were going to have to go to 850. There's not as many offers in here. I think we can do like 810. Great, let's do that. And then you end up getting it and they're thrilled, because again, they're paying over asking price, but they didn't have to pay more than what they wanted to, or more than what they had to pay for the house that they wanted. And that's our end goal. Getting you to spend as little as possible for these homes, which obviously it's still a significant chunk of change when I say as little as possible. I just mean not throwing $400,000 over asking price when another one is $50,000 over asking price, and you're just throwing money away at that point.
Yeah. I think people are getting really hung up on the amount over asking price, and I think what we really need to focus in on, and I think we're alluding to this, is what fair market value is and how much over fair market value places are selling for, because ultimately every time a house sells, it sets a new benchmark for fair market value, right? So yeah, it's a lot. This is not an easy market to navigate or negotiate. So having people on your side who know what they're doing, who have the experience, and who can, like I said before, thread that needle, is the difference. Honestly, is the difference between buying a house and not buying a house in this market, right? How many people have told us recently that, look, I've just given up. This market's too challenging. It's too tough. I can't do it. Either the prices are too high. It's just not possible. And if they're too high, they're too high. That's fine. But if you've just been burned too many times because you haven't had good representation, that's a problem. Really.
Yeah. And then it comes down to just dissecting what those issues are. And like, no, we're not. Okay, well then let's find out why, and let's find out how we can change that and how we can make it work. And maybe that just means making some concessions about what you want in a home, or where you want it, and making it your own in due time. Sometimes you got to buy the place that doesn't have the perfect kitchen, and then a year from now, that's when you decide to renovate the kitchen because it's worth that much more. So stuff like that. But that's a good place to wrap it up. We hope that we've kind of helped you learn a little bit or navigate the world of multiple offers and kind of what to expect. Again, if you want to talk to us more in depth about it, click on the Calendly links below and book an appointment with either one of us. Be happy to talk to you about it. Again, like, subscribe, share us on the YouTubes. We hope you had a good time with it. Have it playing in the background. Tell your friends about it. Download us on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. I am Brendan McKeigan. This is Sean Tassé. And until the next one, keep it real.
Collective.
Eh?